So have you seen the season finale of BMF yet? If not, you probably shouldn't watch this video. So if you remember the last episode, when Meech and Terry got back from Florida, they got pulled over by the police, they impounded all their vehicles. Come to find out, Remy has law enforcement on payroll, and he was able to go down to the impound and gather all those vehicles and take them to another location. So now Meech and his crew has to come up with a plan to get the vehicles back because the work is inside. Now if you remembered, Terry and Henry are still going back and forth, and Terry figured out a way to cut off her supply. Now since Terry cut off Henry's supply, she wanted to send Terry a message, so she shot Hoop. Now the congressman is Kobe's father. Kobe was Veronica's ex-partner, the one that got killed in the drive-by when Henry shot up her house. Now Brian and Veronica are in the process of taking out Henry and her organization, but they needed help because they lost their badges. So she goes to the congressman, Kobe's father, for help. So he's like, hey, I'll help you, but you need to give me information on who killed my daughter. I'm trying to find out who killed my daughter. Do you have a name? So then Veronica gives him a name, not knowing that Blaze has him on payroll. Now Lucille decides she wants to go through with the divorce. Now Charles is hesitant about signing the divorce papers because he wants to work things out with Lucille and keep the family together, but ultimately he decides to sign the papers because he wants her to be happy too. Now Veronica goes back undercover to gather more information on Henry because remember I was telling you that she's building a case because she's trying to take out her and her organization, right? So while they're hanging out in her office, her phone rings. It's her father on the phone. He tips her off. He's like, hey, look, I spoke to the congressman. Your new girlfriend is actually an undercover cop. You need to fix this because she's trying to build a case against you to take down this organization. Henry tries to take out Veronica, but you remember in the last episode, she put the wire in her cane when she wasn't looking. Brian was sitting in the car listening to the conversation, and when he overheard her trying to kill her, he was able to get to her on time, so he saved her. So the next day, Lucille decides to go see Maurice at this hotel. Now she gets to the hotel, and on this night, she decides to go all the way. So right after they hook up, Maurice decides he wants to come clean. He's like, hey, look, if we're going to have a future together, I want to be honest going forward. So I need to tell you something. I have a fiance, and I've had a fiance for the past 2 years. Once Lucille realized that Maurice was also a liar and a cheater, she left him. Meech was able to work out an arrangement with some of the members of Remy's crew. He found the location of the vehicles and he was able to get the work back. So the next day, Lucille comes downstairs and her and Charles are having a conversation. She tells him that things didn't work out with Maurice. He wasn't the man I thought he was. So then Charles is like, hey, well, since things didn't work out with you and him, is there a chance that you and I can work things out? Well, the only man I want in my life right now is Jesus. So you and I could just be friends. But yeah, he wanted to work things out, but she told him the number one man in her life right now is Jesus. Since Henry is terrible at running the family business, her father Blaze tells her that he's stripping the organization away from her. He wants her out the game. Then Henry gets upset and she kills her father. And remember that cane she was always carrying around? The one that Veronica put the wire inside? Yeah, they heard her killing her father. And then that's when the cops came in and they arrested her. And as Henry's being escorted out, Brian walks up to her and he's like, hey, I'm the one who killed your cousin. And that was pretty much payback for her killing his son Kevin. Because you remember when Kevin was locked up, she was the one who put the head out on Kevin. Now Meech was able to align his crew with Remy's crew, and they decided to kick Remy out completely. Now Remy is out the game for good, and he's not coming back. Now I thought this scene right here was dope because it's been years since I've seen these two on screen together. Do you guys remember Poot and Bodie from The Wire? I'm originally from Maryland, so I'm a fan of the show. Poot, Bodie. Wanda decided that she wants to have a career of her own, so she told Terry that she wants to go to cosmetology school. And Meech and Terry go back to Magic City, and they run into a young Deion Sanders. Primetime. So after talking to Primetime, they run into an associate and they find out that their plug got arrested in Mexico. And then Terry and Meech decide to go to Mexico to help their plug. And something else I was thinking about? I think if Maurice was honest from the moment him and Lucille reconnected, I think maybe she would have gave him a chance. Because after all, technically, she was still married. And her and Charles, they did kind of hook up a few times. So she probably would have overlooked the fact that he had a fiance. It was about him not being honest. If he was honest from jump, I think she would have still gave him a chance. So now Terry and Meech are walking down a dirt road in Mexico, and there's going to be a season 4.